In this video, we're going to be talking about fixture selection. Like most things on Neo, there's a way of doing it through the user interface, or there's a command line based way of doing it. So if you're looking at the classic view, which is the window we can see here in the middle of the screen, we can just go in and click on our fixtures to select them. So I can go and just click on an individual fixture to select it, and as soon as I've done that, the fixture controls will be available in my sidebar and on my encoder wheels. As well as just simply clicking, so I can just go around and click to select my fixture I need, I can also click and drag, so I can start to drag to grab control of a range of fixtures, or I can actually go and select a load of various different fixtures in the channel grid as well, and all of those with the red border will be selected. Now you'll notice that if I go and click on a fixture, and then go and click on another fixture, the previous fixture deselects. This is what we call exclusive mode. So if I wanted to actually select multiple fixtures together, I could actually, using the user interface, I can actually use the Control and Shift keys on my keyboard. So hold Shift to select a range, or hold Control to just add fixtures to the selection. Now, if you don't want to constantly be using Shift and Control, you can actually go and put the console into inclusive selection mode. To do that, you can actually go and use the drop-down arrow here, top left on the Select Active button, and down the bottom here, we have inclusive selection mode. So that means you can just keep on adding. You just click and it will just keep on adding to the selection, so you can add ranges to that as well. To clear the selection, you've actually got a clear selected button here you can use. So you can go and tap that and that's going to clear your selection. I'm just going to go to my select active mode and turn inclusive mode back off so that we're back in the default selection method. So that's some of the tools you can use in the classic view, actually going and clicking on a touchscreen or using a mouse if you connect one. But as well as that, we can use syntax. So if I want to just select fixture 1, I can actually type in 1 enter. And you'll see that I'm actually typing that command directly into my command line at the bottom there. So 1 enter, that selects fixture 1. But of course, as well as our numbers, we've got through, plus and minus, and we can use those buttons in combination with each other to go and just select any combination we need. So I could go and say 1 through 6 enter, and that's going to grab control of fixtures 1 through to 6. There's a handy shortcut with the through command to be aware of, and that is simply going in and tapping through enter. So if I go and do 31 through enter, you'll see there that that selects 31 through to 37. Well, we didn't define 37, but it automatically selected 31 through 37 because there's a gap. In my fixture numbering here, I've taken the approach that each different fixture type, I want to start on a new tens. So I've got fixtures starting at 1, then 11, then 21, then 31, 41. That's quite a common approach. And so this selection shortcut can be used with that approach so that I can just go 31 through and it's going to grab all of my fixtures starting at 31 until there is a change in fixture type or a gap in my fixture numbering. So that's a handy one to be aware of. Let's go and click clear selected. So we can also use our plus and minus, as we said. So I could go and say 1 plus 3 plus 5 enter to select those fixtures there. And we can also use minus. So I could actually go and say, oh, actually, I don't want 3. So I'm going to say minus 3 enter. And that's going to lose that from my selection. So minus 3 enter, that's going to get rid of that. And so what we can also do is start to combine these. So I could go and say 1 through 6, except 3 enter. So it's going to select that range of channels. And you'll see here that a lot of these commands are just like speech, really. They're, you know, your lighting designer might say to you, oh, can we have lights 1 through to 6 minus light 3, for example. Where there's a bit of a difference to speech is when you're taking away a number of fixtures from the selection. So you might say, or your designer might say, oh, can we have lights 1 through to 6, minus 3 and 4? Well, if we were to type in 1, I'm actually going to go clear selected so we can start from afresh. If I were to type in 1 through 6, minus 3 and 4, enter, 4 is added in, we can see. The only light that was actually taken away was 3, and that's because as soon as you type that plus command, it will be adding lights. So if you want to actually get rid of multiple lights at once, rather than saying 1 through 6 minus that and that, you would actually say 1 through 6. So let's do this together. We're going to say 1 through 6 minus 3 minus 4, enter. So you can actually take away multiple lights like that. Now, because those lights 3 and 4 are actually next to each other, we could have used the through command. So we could have gone and said 1 through 6 except 3 through 4. So you can accept a range of fixtures if you need to. That's absolutely fine. If I've gone and selected a fixture, so let's say I've gone and selected 3, it's very often, especially if you've numbered your fixtures so that your lanterns are in order on your lighting bar, you might want to just go and grab control of the next fixture or the previous fixture. And so we've got our last and next buttons for that. So I can go ahead and just start to skip through my rig, and I'm just literally clicking on my select next button there. And you'll see that as I do that, that is just stepping through. So I can go and grab control of the next fixture or the previous one. Let's talk a little bit about some of our select active options. So very top left of our screen here, we have our select active button, and that has a drop down menu. Well, select active itself, that's going to select any fixtures that are currently on. So if I've gone and said 31 through, and I'm just going to go and turn those on, we're going to talk about intensity control in another video, so I won't go too in depth into that. But let's say I've gone and then selected fixture 1, so I'm going to say 1, enter. Well, if I go and say select active, the console will just automatically select fixtures that are currently on. So that's a handy one to be aware of. Maybe I go and say 3, enter, for example. I could actually go and use my drop down here, and I can go and say select previous. And if you do select previous, that's just going to revert back to the previous selection that there might have been on the console. Useful if you've gone and done a clear selected and you then maybe want to go in and very quickly grab control of what we had previously. So we've also got active select mode. So I'm going to go and release these fixtures. If I go and turn active select mode on, so use my select active drop down and say active selection mode, this will actually turn fixtures on as soon as they're selected. So if I go and say 1, enter right now, because we're in active select mode, it will be taken to full. And of course now we can use our next and last buttons to actually step through. So you can see here that I'm going next, 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 and I'm actually going through and selecting each fixture in turn. And I can also say select last. So that's a useful way of just skipping through your rig, and you can do that next and last. And you'll notice that it is bringing those values onto our console. So we can see that we're getting our red intensity values being displayed. But as I mentioned, we'll talk more about intensity in a future video. I'm going to go and double tap clear, and I'm going to go and turn active selection mode off. And the next thing I want to talk about is our select drop down here. So in the select drop down, this gives us some quick ways of grabbing control of our fixtures a little bit easier. So within patch, so when we went and patched our fixtures, we could add in position and purpose information, and you can also add in color information here as well. And once you've done that, that automatically populates your select positions, purpose and color options. So you can see here, I can very quickly grab all of the fixtures on my front house, or I can go to my center stage fixtures. The All tab here, well, that's going to show me all of that information, but I could actually just filter to positions, purpose or colour. I can also access my groups from in here. So if you've gone and programmed custom groups, you can actually access them from in here as well. So I could go and grab all of my front light, for example. Now, the very last tab along is tools and macros. So this is very useful to give us some selection tools. So you can see in here I've got buttons such as odd, even, interleave. So if I go to my positions, and I could go and say I want to select all of my front house, and I could then go and say I want the odds. So I can very quickly grab the odds and the evens of my current selection. Last one of note in here is fixture type. So I could actually go and grab control of all of my VL5 washes, which is 21 through 26. You can start to worry less about fixture numbers. You can start to just go and interact and grab control of all of a type of fixture rather than needing to worry about their fixture numbers so much. Now, if you find that these selection tools are very handy and you're regularly using them, well, rather than having to go into this drop-down menu, you can open what we call the Quick Select bar. To do that, you'll need to go and enable your view options, which is this button here. And within the classic view, you can go to its view settings, which is this drop down here. And in here, there is a display options, quick select bar. And this opens our quick select bar here, and you can see that I can go and open my positions, grab control of my front house, or I can go and filter to centre stage fixtures if I want to. And so you'll see there that what it means is if you've spent the time going into your patch and filling in the positions, purpose and colour information, very quickly you can start to use the quick select bar to grab control of your different fixtures.